Hello, my name is Andy Buck, and I will be presenting on a mystic that is in Buddhism. My focus is on the Buddhist mystic Milarepa. Similarly to my previous Hindu presentation, I'll just go with a brief explanation of the religion, the key concepts, and then focus in on the one that I've chosen. And as before, I will preface with I am likely to not pronounce these correctly. Quick overview of Buddhism. Buddhism began in India around the 5th century BCE with Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha. Unlike Hinduism, Buddhism does not center around a creator god. Rather, it focuses on the issue or problem of suffering and how to overcome it. The ultimate goal of Buddhism is liberation from that suffering and the cycle of rebirth. Here's some of the key concepts. Buddhism teaches that life involves suffering, which is called the dukkha. And similarly to Hinduism, it teaches the samsara, that cycle of rebirth and karma, which is the idea that actions do have consequences. However, Buddhism rejects the idea of a permanent soul. This teaching is called anatta, which means no self. The ultimate goal of Buddhism is nirvana, the complete liberation from suffering and rebirth. The path to enlightenment. The Buddha taught that there were four noble truths. First, life involves suffering. Secondly, suffering involves life involves suffering. Second, suffering has a cause. Third, suffering can end. And fourth, there is a path that leads to the end of suffering, called the Eightfold Path. Mystical realization in Buddhism comes through meditation, ethical living, and wisdom. And the mystic Milarepa. Milarepa was a Tibetan Buddhist yogi who lived from 1052 to 1135. He is one of the most famous Buddhist mystics because his life displays and demonstrates radical transformation. When he was younger, in his youth, he committed serious wrongdoings via using black magic. And later, he regretted these actions and subsequently devoted himself entirely to spiritual practice under his master Marpa. A little bit more on his transformation. Milarepa practiced intense meditation in remote mountain caves. He lived with almost nothing, wearing only a thin cotton clothing, relying on very little food. His goal was not simply understand Buddhist philosophy intellectually, but he wanted direct realization, a complete transformation of how reality is experienced. And that mystical realization, Milarepa ultimately realized that the Mahayana Buddhism calls emptiness. Emptiness doesn't necessarily mean nothing exists. It means that all things lack a permanent or independent essence. And that there is no fixed self, no eternal substance, and that everything is interconnected and constantly changing. This realization is mystical because it transforms how reality is perceived. It is not just a belief, but a lived experience. And a little bit on his teachings. Milarepa taught that enlightenment is possible for anybody, no matter their past. He emphasized meditation and direct experience over debate or theory. For him, mystical knowledge was experiential, something realized through discipline, practice, and insight. And a little bit on the philosophy of the whole thing. Milarepa's philosophical take. Milarepa belonged to the Tibetan Vajrayana tradition of the Mahayana Buddhism, specifically the Kagyu lineage. This tradition emphasizes meditation, devotion to a teacher, and direct transmission of insights. And like similar to Shankara, actually, Milarepa's realization came through disciplined practice via a guru. And Milarepa's impact. Still revered as one of Tibet's greatest saints. His songs and poems are still recited today. He represents the possibility of transformation, repentance, and awakening. Because of this, he remains one of the most important figures in Buddhist mysticism. And in conclusion, Milarepa shows that mysticism in Buddhism is not abstract philosophy, it is lived transformation. Through meditation, discipline, and guidance, he moved from suffering and wrongdoing to awakening. His life demonstrates the Buddhist path to mystical realization. And that is all. Thank you.